I really did not think that I would be reviewing another Berserk chapter, let alone 2 chapters at once, but here we are. I think people are overlooking how awesome and mind-blowing this is. Back in 2019 and 2020, we only got 2 chapters in that whole year, but this time around, we got 2 chapters in a single day. Before I actually start this video, I want to take some time to acknowledge and appreciate Kojimori and the other assistants who created this chapter. In my previous video, I talked about Mori and the relationship he had with Miura, so make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Kentaro Miura was undoubtedly one of the greatest manga authors of all time, and just having the balls to carry on his masterpiece is a task in itself. But in these 2 chapters, the team really proved that they are capable and they are up to this job. Chapter 365, which is titled Lull of a Waning Moon, opens with a beautiful showcase of Alfhelm, as all the inhabitants notice some type of a strange presence on the island. Casca goes downstairs, past Shirke, opens the door, and the 2 see Griffith standing there, facing Guts. I really love this double page spread of Griffith. The tears flowing from his eyes, which we saw in the end of the previous chapter, completely goes away when he blinks, and he simply stands there, in his beautiful, godlike presence. As soon as they notice who he is, the 2 react in completely different ways. Casca's brand begins to bleed violently, and she gets a flood of memories of her past. In the next page, we see Shirke's reaction. At this point, we just see her as she takes in Griffith's presence. I also love this close-up of Griffith's eye. He wears this almost reptilian, uncanny pupil, and looking at it, we can kind of feel the same strong force that Shirke is feeling. Hearing Casca scream, the Berserker armor slowly creeps up on Guts. However, using his mental fortitude, Guts somehow restrains it from activating. Again, we see another close-up, but this time one on Guts, as he clenches his teeth, trying to take control of himself. Overall, this chapter had a big emphasis on emotion. We got a close-up view of each major character, seeing their raw feelings and emotions in all their glory, and this further emphasized a lot of what we already know about these characters. Even though Casca had regained her memories, all the traumatic memories she had still persisted. With Shirke, from the first time she was introduced, we learned that she was one of the few characters who knew that Griffith was evil, and in this scene, we finally see her actually see Griffith for the first time. With Guts, as mentioned earlier, we see his face as he struggles with all the anger he still fights with. While all of this is happening, while everyone is shocked with him appearing, Griffith, the person who caused all of this, simply stands there, unfazed, with the smallest smile. And this is consistent with how Femto Griffith has always acted. Guts proceeds to charge head first towards the man who ruined everything for him, and the chapter abruptly ends with Guts just about to touch Griffith with his Dragon Slayer. This is a cliffhanger, but remember, we got 2 chapters this time. We don't have to wait to see what happens after this. So chapter 366, titled The Maelstrom's Eye, begins with this amazing page. As Guts tries to cut down Griffith, he screams his name out. This got me thinking, when was the last time Guts shouted out Griffith's name? If anybody knows, please write a comment below. Anyway, the Dragon Slayer just slides through Griffith's body, and before Guts realizes it, he isn't in the same place anymore. He turns around and tries to attack him again, but once again, his sword simply slides through his body. However, one important detail is that Guts was able to cut off one strand of Griffith's hair. Although this is very small and ultimately unharmful, it is important because it tells us, as well as Guts, that his Dragon Slayer has some type of physical effect on the God Hand members. Although his Dragon Slayer isn't a magical fetish, it had been alluded to through different parts of the story that his sword did have something special to it, and it was once again shown in this scene. This panel really made me think that the Dragon Slayer is going to get some type of an upgrade in the upcoming chapters. Guts looks at Griffith's back as he turns around, and Griffith simply smiles. I admittedly don't really understand what Guts is exactly doing on this page. I can't really tell whether he is actually going crazy with a sword, or if he is just remembering the times that he did. We then go to Shirke and Fani. They see what is called a Maelstrom, a force which draws in and swallows everything around it. She specifically states that it has unbelievable power. She casts a spell, and the two are back in the physical world, with Fani holding an unconscious Casca. Then the peer looks over at Guts, who is still doing everything he can to try and attack Griffith. We then go to Puck and he narrates that he can feel something coming. Something large charges down into the ground, and we see a familiar hand go over Guts, but he somehow dodges it. It is our favourite apostle, Nosferatu Zod. I know that people have been saying that something really bad is going to happen on Alfhelm for like the past 3 years, but now, something bad is actually happening. All hell is going to break loose on this island. Griffith might call the rest of his apostles to come and attack the island, or Skull Knight might appear and fight Zod and Griffith, alongside Guts. There are so many things which can happen in the next chapter. But remember, after these 2 chapters, the Fantasia arc is supposed to end in 4 more chapters. This makes me wonder, is it possible that the next arc still begins on Alfhelm? It seems that whatever happens to Guts after this last page, something big is definitely going to happen, and I don't really see how it can end in 4 chapters. Whether it is a massive destruction of the whole island, or an epic battle between the Apostle and Guts. The next chapter, chapter 367, is set to be released on the 8th of July, and I for one, cannot be more excited. I am sure to review the next chapter when it comes out, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. In the meantime, please watch my previous video, Who is Kojimori, so you can learn more about Berserk's new director. Thank you.